was one soul split into two, masculine and feminine energies, and each soul went off and travelled many, many lifetimes, doing their thing, you know, evolving, learning, doing whatever. And the plan is that you are meant to then come back at one particular lifetime, come together again as one and join together. And it's a reunion, it's a twin flame reunion. But that is a very, but when that happens, it's a very powerful, powerful energy, and it can be very, it turns your life upside down, because what it is, it's a soulful, spiritual relationship, and whilst it's supposed to be a relationship and physical as well, it purely is a soulful, spiritual one. So usually when you meet a twin, one or two can be, but one is always on a spiritual path already, and I had already started on that, and I already was getting lots of messages anyway about sort of this connection. And the other one is usually going to be quite not ready for it, so they will run from it. So with the twin flame thing, you have a runner and a chaser. Of course, I was the chaser and he was the runner, and he was running pretty fast, you know. Anyway, so I, for years, we're up to 10 years, can I say, you know, have been going crazy basically, but I'm only half that time I was going crazy. The other half I got what the whole message is about the twin flames, and that journey really is about the journey to oneself. So that twin flame meeting is actually meant to take you into to yourself, to look at yourself, you know, work through what it is that you have to you know, to better yourself in some way. Now mine was to actually find a sense of self-love and self-worth, and because that's what I was lacking, and I had no real passion to do anything, and yet the universe knew that I was meant to be doing something more than what I had been doing up till that time of meeting this guy. But that took me 3 years to realise that I was supposed to go within, you know, and work it out myself, you know. But I did, and again, it was somebody else, because when this guy came, you know, it turned my world upside down, because I knew with all certainty that this guy was this one, but he was running. So I was sort of just waiting for him to wake up and come and get me, you know. So every day I'm like, maybe today he will, maybe today he will. But my spiritual journey escalated because I had to actually go looking for help, you know, because all of a sudden I've got all this feeling of knowingness and certainty going on inside of me, and yet I didn't, because it wasn't logical. This guy's running and yet I'm feeling like we're meant to be together, you know. It was this reawakening. So eventually, I was going up to the angels and everything, help, going, having psychic readings and doing whatever, because I needed to get answers, and I needed to know that I wasn't crazy, because it really can, you know, just consume you, you know, 24/7. They're on your mind, they're in your body nearly, you know. Anyway, so I hadn't tapped into any creative talent by this point, and my sister, I rang her up, you know, after probably, you know, I'm up to year 3 here or whatever. She was sick of me. Rosemary, why don't you write it down, what you're feeling? Why don't you let out your feelings on a piece of paper? Anyway, so I said, I can't write, you know, because one of my favourite words was I can't, you know. It was so much easier to say that. And anyway, so I did end up just sort of writing down how we met and how I felt and this and that. And then about a year later, I reread it, and I thought it was quite funny. And I thought, oh, because one good thing was I was born with a sense of humour, and I could always laugh at myself. So I kind of thought, oh yeah, and I started to read it, and I thought, oh, this could make a good movie. And I saw this movie like Bridget Jones or Sex and the City, or, you know, something like that. And then I said to a friend, I said, oh, I like my little story. And she said, well, perhaps you might want to write a book first, because that's usually how things happen. I said, well, I can't do it, so I'll have to get a ghostwriter to do it. So I went down that channel, and this ghostwriter came back with a few, chapters. And I was like, oh, I don't think I'd write that. You know, that's not what I'd say. So then I just sat there and I thought, what would I say? I'd say this. And so I started type. And before I knew it, I was just typing, and I wrote about 4 chapters of this book, which I had never written anything in my whole entire life. And so I was kind of like, oh my God, maybe I might be able to do this. Maybe I do have a little bit of a talent. Anyway, so then so I said to the woman, you know, how about you edit it and I'll write the chapters? And so she said, yeah, great idea. So within 2.5 months, I wrote my book. I listened to my heart, and I'd never written anything before. So once, and then, you know, obviously, you know, I ended up going down the publishing route, which is great. But you know, and then with that, because I saw it as a movie, I thought I needed a soundtrack. And a friend at work, he was a musician, so I said, hey, how about you write a song? So you know, I've got this big movie plan going on here. And so he did that, and he came back with the song and the lyrics, and I was kind of like, nice song, but not my type of lyrics. But he said, well, you write them. And I was like, I can't write lyrics, you know. And of course, I had to write them. So I sat down and sort of, you know, what do I want to say about all of this, you know? So I wrote this, you know, I wrote this song in about half an hour, and I was like, oh my God, look what I've written, you know. Once again, you know, so excited that I'd written something that actually sounded okay. So he ended up recording that, and so that was my very first song. And I actually thought that was a fluke. So I thought, well, maybe I better write, you know, another one. So then I wrote another one, and then I wrote another one. I wrote about 5 or 6 in that one particular week. And I was like, where's all this coming from, you know? And I rang my friend once, and I was telling her, I said, you know, where's it all coming from? And she said, it's coming from your heart. And I thought, oh my God, that is so right. It's coming from my heart. This guy had awoken all of these feelings inside of me and tapped into this creative, in my creative voice. So he really was my muse, you know? And anyway, so then, so then that was that. So what I ended up, you know, discovering through all of this is that, you know, he's still gone. He's by this point he's moved, you know, back to wherever he came from, you know, and you know, but it didn't. The feeling and that I still have for him is still very much there, because it just doesn't go away. But what it was, I still did what I had to do on this twin flame journey. I did go and find myself. So whilst I lost myself for quite a while in this fellow, I actually ended up finding me. So that was the, you know, the greatest gift of all, as far as I'm concerned. So now, you know, I'm somebody, you know. I'm just not somebody's daughter or sister or friend. I'm a published author now, and I'm a lyricist, and you know, and I've got my own business doing tarot cards, and I've got, you know, I'm free. I've got this freedom now to do whatever I want to. And I go and live in, you know, a friend in New York. I go and stay with her, and I go and work anywhere in the world doing what the work I do now. And so all of this happened because this person came into my life to help me find me. And that's what a twin is also meant to do, is to help their counterpart on their journey. So he has done that, you know. And also, you asked, I thought meant to get together, but you know, as I said, we're up to 10 years, and we're not there yet. But that doesn't matter. Who knows what tomorrow will bring, you know? So we'll just sort of wait and see. But so that's sort of how I started out in my journey in my spiritual, and found my creative voice and my spiritual voice. So it really is that life is, you know, anything can happen at any time, you know, if you're open to it, and everything really does happen for a reason. And you know, I think if people can just really trust more in that, you end up living a really much more peaceful, happier life, trusting that the universe is actually going to look after you. Now, of course, you can't just sit there and do nothing, go, oh yeah, you know, it's all going to just come to me. You know, you have to participate in life and make things happen. But you know, generally speaking, from what I've experienced, you know, it really is, you know, a wonderful journey if you go with the flow and start really, you know, just allowing and trusting that the universe will give you what you deserve, you know. And I always ask the universe now, you know, for everything that's meant for my highest and greatest good, you know, the best man, the best work, the best friends, the best of everything, you know. And I really can relax knowing that, you know, it does happen, it does, you know. And anything can happen, you know, when you're open. It's just good. So